What's going on YouTube? Thanks again for tuning in to Poor Boys RC, where today we are going to take a close-up look at this absolutely stunning Land Rover Discovery, which is made by MST. This is the CFX DC1. Now, I'll be the first one to say that's a lot of letters. Not the best name. MST, if you guys want to maybe try switching things up a little bit, maybe give it a cool name. But for the purposes for the rest of this video, I'll just refer to it as the DC1 or Land Rover Discovery 1. That's how I'm kind of viewing it. The body itself is a gorgeous replica of a 90s Land Rover. And this is the Discovery 1. It's got the low tail lights. The Discovery 2s had the tail lights up here quite a bit higher. And I'm a bit of a sucker for Land Rovers. I gotta say, I love them. I used to own a 97 Discovery 1. And currently my daily driver is a 2001 Land Rover Discovery 2. I'm a huge fan of these vehicles for a lot of reasons. One of my favorites is the Alpine windows up top. So cool. Really fun driving experience in one of these in a full-scale rig. Now it's time to check out the 10th scale rig. Now, I will say I've been eyeballing one of these for a really long time. I will say it's got a lot of really nice features. So let's go over some of these cool features that this kit does have. And then we're going to get it outside and take it for a little shakedown run, which I'm pretty stoked to do. First things first, again, guys, let's talk about this body. It's a really nice body. I don't believe it's licensed. I don't see any Land Rover branding anywhere. They do have the word Discovery on the snorkel there. Other than that, there's no Land Rover branding, but if it's non-licensed, they did a really good job with this. We've got the British Columbia license plate there, Big Philly, Poor Boys RC, beautiful British Columbia, the spare tire, of course. Now, it does not come with that spare tire. That's a separate spare that I purchased with its own separate spare tire mount that you probably can't see in there. Really tough to see, but there's a spare tire mount that I affixed to the back gate here. Which I found on eBay for super cheap. So I put that on there just for a little more of a scale look. I know it's going to hinder performance, but I really don't care. I want it to look nice and scale and as close to my Discovery as possible. Moving on from there, guys, we do have some really nice plastic pieces on this body. We've got the scale wipers. We already talked about the snorkel. We've got side mirrors, scale roof bars up here. The wheel flares are really well done. The rear bumper would be considered like an optional tube style off-road bumper that Land Rover would sell. Really cool. The trailer hitch is something extra. That's a spare part that I had. I installed it because I actually like having one here to protect that spare tire when I'm out wheeling. Then the front bumper looks just like a scale, like an ARB bumper would, or something similar anyway, an off-road steel bumper with the D shackles up front and a couple rock sliders underneath. And the last thing I'll mention about the body here, guys, is the windows. If you look at the back, it's really tinted quite dark. The back glass is quite dark and the front glass is a little bit lighter. So I did tint the windows using Tamiya's PS31 paint, their PS31 smoke tint. So I did that really to match what I have on my vehicle, and I think it makes it look a little bit nicer as well. We do have a scale driver in here. That's a Tamiya driver that you can buy separately. And I forgot to mention earlier that there are light buckets inside of this beautiful body. So it comes with the buckets, but it does not come with a light kit. So I did purchase a light kit on Amazon. I installed it and it works awesome. So with the body aside, let's take a look at this chassis. So I got the ready to run kit. Now that was all that was available, and I wish I would have picked this thing up about a year ago when I could have bought the kit version and assembled it myself. I like to assemble them myself, really get an understanding of how it works. But we'll start from the surface and work our way in, talking about what we see here. So the fender guards, the mud guards, or the inner fenders, if you want to call them that, came separately. You had to cut them out and install them. I chose to install them. I think you really want to have them in you know, today's world. It's hard to have a crawler without them. I really like the way they look. They kind of balance out the chassis. I think and make it look a little more robust. And also they're very, very functional. Helps to keep dirt and stuff out of your chassis. The kit comes exactly as you see here. So it's got a 35 turn motor, brushed mounted up front. It's got a nice looking transmission, all metal gears in the transfer case as well. Really nice beefy 4-link mounting system for the front and rear axles, which I really like. We've got oil-filled shocks at all 4 corners that feel pretty good. It did come with a steering servo mounted as well with a plastic servo saver. We'll see how long that lasts. I think that servo is rated at 10 kgs, so it's not going to be the strongest servo out there. Definitely like a ready-to-run style servo, if you will. I don't believe it's waterproof either, but I'm still going to run it until I'll run it until it blows, and then I'll upgrade it at that point. Now the truck did come with a different ESC. It came with basically the equivalent of like a Hobbywing 1060. I replaced it with my Hobbywing 1080 because it's just a much better crawler ESC, way more programmable features when it comes to crawling that you're going to want to have. So I dropped that in. The 1060, again, for a ready-to-run kit, the 1060 is not a bad choice, and it's nice because it's waterproof, but the 1080 is, in my opinion, the way to go. We've got a waterproof receiver box here, and what else can I tell you guys? I got a 3S LiPo I'm going to be running in the back. This is just a single-speed transmission. It does not have a 2-speed like a lot of the you know, more modern crawlers and trail trucks out there. A lot of them are coming with 2 speeds, okay? This one's definitely a single speed. And that's why I wanted to go with the 3S pack instead of a 2. So if I need a little bit of speed, I have it. But a nice looking skid plate, ball bearings all around, forward mounted transmission, rear mounted battery, well balanced chassis, really nice smooth shocks. This thing's pretty cool. I'm actually really impressed by it. So if you guys have any questions about this chassis, please just throw them down in the comment section below. I like to get back to every single one of you as quickly as I possibly can. And if you haven't already, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. Looking to get 10,000 subs this year. If we do, it's gonna be a big giveaway at the end of the year. So make sure you're here for that. So last thing to talk about before we take this thing out on the road is these tires. Check out the skinny tires. Those are so cool on so many levels. And I'm gonna tell you, if you ever watch the original Camel Trophy racing series with the original Discovery ones, they all had skinny tires. They're going through this deep mud and like the rainforest and stuff. It's so cool. So it's nice to see a skinny tire option because you don't see it a whole lot. TRX4, oh, can I say that without getting sued? Hopefully. TRX4, you know, SCX 10.3, really, really wide tread pattern. So this is, again, the skinny tires I think are just something different, and there's something unique to the Land Rover brand. Where they really push the skinny tires in their off-roading world. But that's it for now, guys. So this battery is charged. Let's get this thing outside and see how it performs. This truck is awesome! Well guys, I gotta say, I was really happy with the way the MST DC1 performed out there today. A couple of things to take note of. Maybe I'll give you guys like a list of some good things that I observed, some bad things that I observed, but you know, overall, the experience driving this thing was really good. And I'm coming off of a couple of years of running a TRX4, which was a fantastic rig. This is definitely not going to give you that same level of performance. I think the portal axles and the 2-speed transmission have a lot to do with that. But for what it is, for this kind of driving experience, this is one of the best I've ever had. I really, really enjoyed it. So number one, for the pros, I'm going to go right back to how this thing looks. I mean, it's just different. And I don't know about you, you might not give a damn if it looks different or not, but I do. And I really like the fact that it's just a different looking truck. And I think they did a really good job with this body, with the wheels and tire dimensions. Suspension's nice. The look is awesome. Great job, MST. Second pro that I would say is the steering angle. This thing has a really, really great steering angle. I was actually quite surprised. It was nice being on that loose sand. I was able to really turn the wheels full lock either way and really see what it could do. And I was very impressed. Despite the fact that both front and rear differentials are fully locked, I was able to steer quite well in this thing. Maybe the skinny tires have something to do with that. I'm really not too sure, but let me know in the comments below what you think. Number three, I'm going to say the MST DC1 is very, very smooth. The power plant, the transmission, the transfer case, everything just, it felt really smooth. It felt really refined and not cheap. It felt very, very good. Like the quality of the gears felt really good. I had a lot of torque when I needed it. And running on a 3S pack, it certainly wasn't fast with the stock 35 turn motor. I would like to go with a little bit more speed in the future just because sometimes I feel frisky and I like to burp it over some tree stumps and catch a bit of air. It'd be nicer to have maybe something in a 27 turn realm. I might go down that road in the future, but for the time being, everything drivetrain wise felt like I was driving a really like a premium quality RC car. And the last thing I'm going to mention for the pros is the approach and departure angles. I was really surprised. The approach angle was really good, whether I was coming down an obstacle or ready to approach up an obstacle. The approach angle is really nice on this thing. I was able to crawl right up some things that I was not, that I was thinking I was going to get hung up on at first. Departure angle was good, other than the fact that I installed this hitch. And this was definitely getting caught up on a few things. But I do put it there for protection on that spare wheel so it doesn't get torn off. Suspension feels really nice and soft and really supple. And you know, this truck does not have portal axles, which I think there was a big portal axle phase for a while there. Seems like a lot of manufacturers are going back to non-portal axles. Portals are not, I mean, that's entirely up to you, but let's call a spade a spade. Portals are going to give you that extra bit of ride height. I love the look of the non-portal axle, but number one on my cons list, the non-portal axles really make this thing sit a lot lower. Therefore, you're more susceptible to getting hung up on rocks, branches, all that kind of stuff. Number two on the cons list, I'm going to have to point out the ESC. They did put a solid ESC in here, the equivalent of a Hobbywing 1060, but I really wish they went with something a little different, a little more crawler or scalar oriented, if you will. Even just a Hobbywing 1080. It's a really inexpensive upgrade from a 1060 to a 1080. And as a driver of one of these vehicles, it is a night and day difference. So that's something, if MST is going to get back into the crawler game again, which I'm sure they will, try something a little more similar to the Hobbywing 1080. And the only other drawback that I'm going to point out today here, guys, has actually nothing to do with a truck. It's got to do with the RTR radio. This radio is very RTR. It feels really lightweight. It feels cheap and flimsy. It does seem to have a lot of good functions on it, and I don't know whether or not they all work. In fact, I never really even had a chance to use this radio. As I turned everything on and I plugged it in, I noticed that my throttle was not proportional. It was just either full throttle or nothing. And you would just squeeze the trigger just a millimeter and you'd be at full throttle and forward. However, reverse was proportional. So I did everything I could think of. I reversed polarities. I spent a lot of time trying to figure this out and I couldn't figure it out. So maybe someone out there in the world of MSTs, if somebody out there is really knowledgeable, might know what the problem was, because the radio, I mean, it feels like an RTR, but it's a good looking radio, some decent functions on it. I'd like to use it in a kit if possible, but non-proportional throttle in something, well, in any vehicle, especially something like this, is no bueno. So right away I chose to get rid of the factory radio and I installed my own radio that I knew would work. So that's about it for this guy today. You know, it's really a good thing when you can come up with 5 pros right off the top of your head and only 3 cons, and one of them has nothing to do with the truck. I mean, this is a great looking truck. I think MST did a lot of good things with this platform. And to be totally honest, it's kind of nice going back to something that's a little more basic like this. A TRX4 was really nice with portal axles and a 2-speed transmission, but I felt that I really had to drive this a bit more, pay a little bit more attention to what I was doing and where I was going. And I like that feeling. I felt more engaged driving this truck than I felt driving my TRX4 for the past few years. So that's about 10 times I've said TRX4 today. So if my channel gets shut down, you guys will know why. But hey guys, listen, thank you guys so much for watching. Please give a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. It means a ton if you did. Again, the goal is to get to 10,000 subs this year. If we make it, there's gonna be a huge giveaway at the end of the year. I don't know what we're giving away. You can have my house. No, don't take my house. I need a house. But we're gonna give something away and it'll be good. So hit that subscribe button. Means a ton. Throw your comments down below. Love getting back to all y'all. I love you and be excellent to each other.